Okay, hi guys, it's story time. So I've had a couple of realization landing over the last 2 days, and the ripples spreading out. Yeah, and I felt to because for me it's been a massive shift of consciousness and literally life changing. Changing the understanding of how I operate, how I create, how this soul expresses and creates. And it's been so ground shifting, life changing that I thought, okay, I'm going to talk about this because there might be other people who resonate. It might help others to see the reflection and find within themselves that shift. So I don't even know exactly how to begin. It's been so massive. So let's start with the pattern that I noticed playing out in my life over the past years, actually, but it's certainly become very prominent over the last months. And that is the irregularly occurring upwelling of a yearning to create, in the sense of wanting to write, wanting to blog. There's a feeling that says, I want to blog, I want to write. And when a feeling comes up, it comes up to a certain point when it hits the mind, and the mind goes, yes, but about what? What do you want to talk about? You need to have a topic, a theme. You need to have an outline, a point that you want to work towards. A similar thing I have noticed occurring with video making. So, okay, every now and then there is this spark suddenly that says, I want to make a video. I want to talk about my experiences. And that, interestingly, does not so much hit a barrier like the writing. In a way it does, yes. There's also the question, yes, but about what? What do you want to make a video about? You want to talk about your experiences? Okay, but I can't talk about my experience in like less than 2 minutes. That's simply not how I work. I never have. I've always been expressive. I've always been telling stories, and I can't boil it down. I can't, well, I mean I can, but I will have to force myself, so I'm not doing that. This time, certainly not this time. I'm already at 3 minutes, so if you thought you can just watch a quick video, no, this is going to take time. It's going to be worth it. So stay tuned. So I've noticed these patterns playing out where there was an urge to create that then either hit a blockage internally, got to a certain point and then got stuck, literally got stuck, or the energy came up and kind of dispersed, went nowhere. And that led to this ongoing mess of frustration, anger, disappointment, helplessness, self-judgment. And then the realization hit me about 2 days ago. And I mean, literally hit me like bricks to the face. I felt like a cartoon character, you're going bonk, bonk, bonk. Because I've seen the same pattern playing out in the past when it comes to drawing, to creating art. I would have this upwelling, the feeling, oh, I want to draw, I want to, give me a piece of paper and a pencil and just let me create. And then I got a piece of paper and I got a pencil, and then I would sit there and think, now what? What do I want to draw? Always with a sense that it had to be a certain shape, that it had to be a form, a tree, a horse, a cat, a house, whatever. Which then led to frustration because my drawing skills never progressed very far. So it was still all kind of very 2D, and yeah. I never I was never able to put onto paper what I was seeing in my mind. That was endlessly frustrating. And for a while I gave up the whole creating thing entirely. Until about 3 years ago, I discovered brush pens. And ultimately what it led to was I have a big piece of paper, a whole rainbow of brush pens. And I just go for it. I don't think about it. I literally don't. I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, this color feels right, this shape feels right. Okay, now this color feels right, and now this shape feels right. And I'm just creating squiggles. I call them squiggles because they squiggle across the paper. And they're amazing. To me, it feels like amazing outbursts of expression, of soul coming forward, of soul coming through. I would show you an example, but I don't have any here right now. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I do. Because some days I just squiggle on everything that I can get my hands on. This is what it looks like. Or this is what it looks like. And so first I found a way of expressing that way. And then about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I discovered creating art digitally. I don't even remember what I was trying to do. Yes, I do, but that would take too long to explain. So I discovered creating art digitally. And I noticed the same thing happening. If I was sitting there thinking about, okay, so I've seen this vision in my meditation, or I want to create a landscape or fantasy landscape or something like that. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. I start, I get stuck, I get frustrated. It just doesn't work. So I had to come to terms with the fact that soul expresses more in abstracts. I really admire people who can draw lifelike, realistic people, landscapes, places, buildings, just from their imagination. It's just like I always wanted to be able to do that. This is not how the soul expresses. The soul expresses in abstracts or at most in surreal stuff. But that works for me. It's like I feel the upwelling of, I want to create art. I open PaintNet and just like that, there's an idea. Okay, so if I take this picture and I take this picture and I combine them and I flip them over and I have a reflection, now I add this and have some sparklers and maybe some stars and change the colors and then change the whole thing again. What does it look like? And that works for me. That really, really works for me. That's where the soul comes through. Because what is happening there is I am not intentioning anything. It is not about intentioning and then working towards creating the creation of a certain outcome. It's not about the outcome. It's literally all about that process of creation, that upwelling of a feeling sense and then expressing it in a way that is aligned to my soul. And that was the realization that really hit me in the face 2 days ago. I was standing in the train station waiting for the next train to come and boom, there it was. The realization I'm currently playing out the same pattern in writing, in video making that I used to play out in art. It's the same pattern of me trying to force myself into a certain mold. It's the same pattern of intentioning a certain outcome, of not even necessarily intentioning a certain outcome so much, but the feeling sense of needing to have an outcome to work towards. Like you want to blog, okay, you want to write, okay, about what? The moment you have a topic, there is the tendency to have an intention of writing towards something. Or maybe it's just me, but it certainly is me. So there's an intention of writing towards something. And look, I can do it. I wrote a whole bloody master's thesis that got top marks. I can do it. But I also had like 3 nervous breakdowns during the time I wrote my master's thesis. I can do it if I force myself into a certain pattern, into a certain mold. That's not me. That does not align with the way the soul expresses beingness. So of course it's frustrating, of course it's painful, of course it's the constant feeling of hitting this internal wall and never getting anywhere and feeling angry and frustrated, and then there's all the self-judgment coming and it's about, why can't you do it? Everybody else can. Look, why can't you do it? So that was the realization that maybe take a step back from the outcome, not so much fixating, focusing, having an intention of a particular outcome, having an intention of an outcome at all. I want to write, so what stops me from simply opening a Word document and starting to write? That's writing. If I want to write, if I want to create that way, that's writing. The intention comes in when I say, oh, I want this to be a certain way, I want this to be polished, I want this to make sense, I want to be able to post this. So I'm not creating for the sake of creating, I'm not writing because writing is fun, I'm writing towards a purpose, an end goal. And that's the way where my energy gets blocked, starts to rise, keeps getting blocked, keeps getting stuck, and then collapses. And that, again, frustration, anger, helplessness, self-judgment. Do I want to keep doing this? No. So that was the realization. Then, to change my approach to creating in writing and to creating in the form of video. Can I take that step back away from an outcome and into the process of creation itself? Because art, digital art, all the squiggles are created like that. It's not about an outcome. I don't bloody care about the outcome. Sometimes I simply delete what I created because it looks weird, it doesn't have any appeal. Sometimes I create something and I look at the outcome and I think, oh my god, this is amazing, look at that, this is beautiful, I love it, I love it. But in that approach, in that way of expressing, of being, the outcome, a beautiful outcome, is a nice bonus, because this is not what the process is about. It's not about creating any kind of outcome. It's all about being in that feeling, expressing that feeling, finding ways to be with that feeling, to flow with that feeling, to express that feeling. So ultimately, the way of creation is less about the answer. It's about the question. It's not about how do I want this to look, and more, what happens if I do this? And now what happens if I add that? Does it feel right? How about I add some sparkles? How about I add a soap bubble? How about I add 3 layers of soap bubbles with different effects? And I look at the outcome and I'm like, yeah, no, I think that's pretty good. That's cool, that's amazing. I like that, I'm saving that, I'm posting that to my DeviantArt account. And so I have a template there. I have a template of creating for the sake of creating, for simply being with the feeling and finding ways of expressing that feeling sense of me. So I'm going to apply that template to writing and video making. And I realized that I and I already started applying that kind of template with the energy updates, which are literally, yes, I tend to overthink things in beforehand and kind of, okay, so what do I want to write about? And then funnily enough, this works beautifully if I type directly into Tumblr. I open a Tumblr entry and I just start writing. And it's less about what are the right words, and literally I'm sitting there, okay, so what does it feel like? What word feels like? What word choice feels like? Go with it. Write it like that. I do get stuck, yes, the moment I start overthinking things, and I need to backtrack back to the point where it feels right. Again, go with the feeling. So I'm writing an energy update, which is a snapshot, a perspective of what I'm perceiving is currently going on in the energy field. And I'm tuning into the energy field as I write. Yes, I do it beforehand to get a sense, to have an idea, kind of vague direction, and then I'm sitting there and I'm typing and I'm tuning into exactly in the moment I'm doing it. So that is the way. That is then again a way of creating that is more about the question. So I'm having this feeling, how can I express this? Does this feel right? Where does this want to go? If I do this, does that feel right? If I do that, does it feel aligned? It's not about, oh, let me post the beautiful, sparkly, perfect blog entry. It's not about that. It's not about the answer. It's about the question. And I'm going to approach writing that way. I'm going to approach video making that way more than before. Actually, this is me approaching the video making from that perspective. This is just, look, I just hit record and then I started talking. I'm now at 17 minutes. I have no idea if anybody would ever be willing to watch that far, me rambling along. But it doesn't matter. I'm not caring about an outcome. This is me expressing a realization I had, a massive realization landing that literally shifted my consciousness, that shifted my understanding of myself, of how this soul expresses, of how this soul expresses itself, of how it expresses beingness. And look, literally the entire spiritual path is all about that. Do you have any idea what this means to me? This is life-changing. For me, that realization is life-changing. Because, not just because I now have an idea, a feeling sense of how to approach other aspects of expressing through creativity, in writing, in video making, but now the realization is like a stone thrown into water and the ripples are spreading out. There are ripples going every which way. Going out from creativity into creation, and from there, creation, oh my God, because look at this, we create our life. We are the co-creators of everything that manifests in our life. Every situation, every circumstance, every experience, we create that. And if I look back over the past years, I can see how this pattern that was now right in my face when it came to expressing in writing or in video making has been expressing in my life as a whole. This entire thing about intentions. Look, I know there's an entire community out there, there's a whole ton of people out there telling you to set your intentions and work towards it. I've tried that, it does not work for me. It completely doesn't work for me. It derails me. It derails my energy. It blocks my energy. It blocks me. It blocks every single authentic way of self-expression. If intentionally works for you, awesome. Go for it. It doesn't work for me at all. And if it doesn't work for you either, and you've been thinking about, oh my God, why can't I do it? There must be something wrong with me because apparently everybody else can do it, and for everybody else it works, and you've been beating yourself up as some kind of failure. No, You're simply more like me in this regard, like this soul. Your soul does not create like that. And it can take some work, some time to come to the acceptance of that. That the soul literally does not create, your soul, my soul, whatever, whoever's soul does not create from setting an intention, but creates more. Actually, I would say it creates from the 5D. Because if I tune into myself as I'm speaking right now, and I'm feeling this kind of energy, I'm feeling this, this is where creation happens. This is where it starts. It's a kind of swirling feeling, it's a kind of movement. There is no shape, there is no form, there are no ideas, there are no thoughts, there are no concepts. This is literally before creative energy hits crystallization in this 3D environment. This is before thought. That is incredibly difficult for the mind, because the mind is used to being the one to create, being the one to set an intention, to set a goal, and then work towards achieving it. Now, this way of creation does not work like that, because it comes from before the mind, before the thought. It's a feeling. It's a feeling. It's a flow. It's a movement. At that point, there is no sense, no idea, not even a knowing of where it wants to go. Right now, it's just moving. It's just moving. Swirling, and then whoosh. That's the direction it wants to go. Do I know what direction that is? No, I have no idea. I just have a feeling that's the direction this movement is going to go. That is my understanding of what it means when people speak about creating from the 5D. And I think I'm going to apply that to my life in general. Because as I said, I have realized that pattern of derailment happening in my life. In general, it's about the moment you decide, oh, I want to apply for this job, or I want to go on that vacation, or I want to live there, I want this living environment and that work environment. That is the moment the mind comes in and sets an intention, maybe, or maybe more a marker in the field of like, this is where I want to go, this right here, and then gets all excited about how do I get from here to there. But for me, I have realized over the last days, when that happens, when I'm like, okay, I want to apply for I want a certain job, that job's over here, then my energy is also over there. It's all spiraling around here. It's the mind getting completely frantic about how, okay, so what must I do? How can I make this happen? What are the individual steps? How do I get there? It's all over there. It's all over there. It's all out there. It's all 5 steps ahead. Wait a minute. A journey does not start 5 steps ahead. A journey starts here, right here. This is the first step. And that was the moment when more things clicked together for me, because we've been speaking about this. We've been speaking about like you can only ever create the next step. You can't create like 5 steps in advance. The universe does not work like that. The flow of the universe does not work like that. And personally, I think it's soul derailing if it works like that. Because if you're working like 5 steps ahead, or you're going in that direction, what if your soul is going that way but then turns that way and takes you to something more amazing, more beautiful, more powerful, more fulfilling than that ever could have been. And that is the whole thing, the realization, the feeling of it, of what it means when having an intention overrides the natural flow of the soul. The energy doesn't flow, it doesn't want to work, it doesn't want to create, and you're getting frustrated, you're getting angry. I'm probably repeating myself like 5 million times. I don't care. I'm expressing. This is about expression. I have no idea if I've even said everything that I wanted to say. Probably not. I've probably been taking a million different twists and turns to the side. I'm probably going to just stop recording and start again. I'm not going to do that. Or maybe I do. Shit. See, and here I am, self-derailing again, because this is the moment where the mind clicked in and was trying to contain the whole expression. Like, have I said everything that I wanted to say? Have I made every point that I wanted to make? Have I presented my point, my ideas, my thought process in a coherent way? Have I done this right? I probably haven't. And it's probably not about expressing, about getting it right. No, it's not. This is about me expressing the life-changing realization that I've had, that having even a slightest feeling, glimpse, thought of an intention, of a direction where I want to go, something that I want to create in the external world, I'm going to self-derail. It is self-defeating, it is self-limiting, self-derailing. This is massive. This is incredible. Personally, for me, yeah, this is pretty amazing. And I can feel its authenticity for me. I'm not talking about you. Your experience might be different. This is me. My soul, this soul, confirms it's the authenticity of that realization by the feeling, the upwelling feeling of excitement, curiosity, adventure, magic. The moment I have that feeling, I know the soul is speaking. Right now, the soul is speaking and saying, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to experiment and play out different things, and I'm going to feel into it and explore the feeling and explore the creation and then see where that takes me. And I'm going to take a next step, and I know I take that step and the entire landscape around me will shift, because it is now responding to this different way of expressing beingness. And then that will give me an entirely new environment to explore, an entirely new opportunity of discovering who I am, of discovering beingness. And that will then invite me to finding new ways of expressing that beingness. What else is life about than this journey of coming to understand who this is, how it expresses its beingness? Thank you, everybody. Thank you for going on this journey with me, for listening to me rambling along. I hope you got something out of it. I certainly did. And I'm not going to hesitate. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to hit stop in a few seconds. So this will be me just talking for half an hour. No, it's not me talking. This is me expressing soul for half an hour. Thank you for being here.